to apply for financial aid. I encourage you, if someone's trying to charge you to apply for financial aid, come to one of our events. Ask for help from the college. Never pay to apply for aid. The first word in the application, y'all, is free. So I want to make sure no one's paying for support or to access the application. You're going to do the FASFA if you are a U.S. citizen from a freely associated states like Marshall Islands, or even have certain refugee or asylee statuses. The WASFA is for students that are not eligible for federal funding, and that can mean that they are not a U.S. citizen or even that they just have chosen to make a personal decision to pursue state funding instead of federal funding. The WASFA is the separate application simply for state aid. So if you're not eligible for federal aid, no worries. We want to make sure you have access to Washington state aid. So you'll do the WASFA. If you're not sure which one to do, no worries. Then you're going to go to the WASFA page and you're going to do the WASFA eligibility questionnaire, and the link is right in our document. And it's going to ask you a couple questions and it'll tell you which application to do. There is no separate application for Washington College Grant. You'll either fill out the FASFA to be considered for federal and state aid, which includes that amazing Washington College Grant. And if you're not eligible for federal aid, you're going to fill out the WAFSA to be considered for that amazing grant. And once you fill out that application, they'll consider you automatically for what they can. So that's the rule of one. Again, never two applications. When you do two applications, I know students will think like, oh, I'll get twice the money. And that is not the case. When you do two applications, I get twice the gray hairs trying to figure out which one you wanted in the first place. So I encourage you, please just do the one that's right for you. As you're filling out applications, I wanted to include just a statement about the information that you're providing. We know that there is private information that you're providing in your application, and people do have concerns about privacy. So we do have an option in Washington State if you do not want to fill out a federal form, but prefer to fill out a state form, you're able to forfeit your federal funding and apply for state funding instead. I always encourage, I have links on here to the privacy statements and on the document that we've shared with you. But I know that as people ask about privacy and data sharing, that we wanted to have those available to you. And if you're not sure if you're eligible for federal funding, again, the easiest way to determine your eligibility, if you should be doing the FAFSA or the WAFSA, is to simply go to the WAFSA eligibility questionnaire, which is about halfway down the page on your links page. And that will tell you which application to complete to maximize your funding. We want you to get as many dollars as possible. So this is what the FAFSA looks like if you're filling out the FAFSA. Just want to make sure you're at the right page. It's available in English and Spanish. And you have the website and the paper option available. I highly encourage the website as it's processed quicker. But the paper application is a wonderful fit for those who are unable to access the internet, especially if you're a justice involved youth or if you're working with justice involved youth, let me know. I'm happy to send you copies as well. Your first step to completing the FAFSA, if you're doing the FAFSA, is the FSA ID. It is simply you creating an account. If you've already created an account, especially parents, you don't have to create a second one. You will create an FSA ID and you'll do that once, and then you apply for financial aid every year that you go to college. For your FSA ID, if you're the student who's applying for aid, you'll either need your social security number or your alien registration ID number. And then for those who are parents who don't have a SOCH, you just check a box that says you don't have a SOCH. No worries. And then this is a big one, email address. Students, if you are a high school student and you are applying for financial aid admissions, they're going to start asking for your email address. But you're going to lose access to your high school email address after you graduate. So this is a great time to create an email address that you're going to check on a regular basis that won't make an admissions officer blush. And you're going to use that for your financial aid and admissions applications so that you don't get locked out of your account after you graduate. Students who are doing the WAFSA, this is the page and what it looks like. And again, if you're not sure if you should do the FAFSA or WAFSA, this page will also walk you through which application to do. This application is available in English and Spanish. And just like the FAFSA, you're going to need your own email address. And so it's a great opportunity to make that email address. You will also need internet access. Students, you're going to create an account for the WAFSA and your parents are going to sign the application later. And we have workshops that will walk you through all of this. So we're not going right into the application right now. We're just kind of showing you what it looks like. But there are workshops you can attend where we will walk you through it to make sure that you have support. For the WAFSA, we have the WAFSA guide as well. If you want a preview of what it looks like and what's going to be asked, it's right on there for you. It's in English and Spanish. So now that we talked about financial aid and we talked all about your opportunities, I have resources and tools to help you apply in the future. And then at the end, we'll have plenty of time for all of your questions so that you have what you need to take your next steps. So our first tool is OtterBot. OtterBot is our text messaging system for students and parents in the K-12 system. OtterBot supports students freshman through senior year of high school with information about financial aid, admissions, and other college-going culture tasks. We also have a bot for parents too. So what it does, it talks to students in the content areas of financial aid. So students, you can text us all your financial aid questions. You have a question about financial aid, it's 1 a.m. We probably have an answer programmed in for you. You stump the bot, that's okay. Our little otter is going to come get us and let us know that you have a question it doesn't know the answer to, and we'll get you an answer. What I love about OtterBot is it's our way of being able to connect with you. I don't know if you know this about otters, but in addition to being some of the cutest creatures in the world, they also hold hands. Like when they love another otter, they hold hands so they don't float away. This is literally us trying to hold your hand through financial aid so you don't float away. We just want to make sure you have access to everything you need. And so we have information on financial aid, admissions. Do you need to know when your deadline is? Do you need reminders? We are here to help you. Parents, you have the same thing available to you. It's available in 100 languages, and you can ask all of your questions to our OtterBot. It's free, and I just encourage you, students, it's a free tool for you to use. Please use it. So the 12th year campaign, Yasleen, who's also presenting in the other room, myself, this is our program. We help counselors and those who are helping students with financial aid by providing training and resources and supports. And so we have resources on our page to help you students, as well as if you are a counselor or someone who's helping students, we have resources for you as well. This is our 12th year team. We got myself over here on the west side and Yasleen's on the east side. So we're on both sides of the state. So you might see us at your high schools. Come by and say hi. We typically have candy. We also have financial aid nights. We have parent and caregiver financial aid nights. That is just for parents and caregivers. So students, we love you and we want to have you in the room, but this is a time for your families to better understand the process so they can best support you. We have class of 2025 financial aid nights as well, but I'm here to tell you, students, if you're thinking I'm not class of 25, you could be the class of 1925 or the class of 2025 or anything in between. We don't care. We just care that you want to access financial aid. Come to our financial aid nights. We'll help you. They're going to be on Zoom. They're in English and Spanish, and we help you take your next steps. And we offer these every year. So if you're watching this presentation and maybe you have a sophomore or something, we'll have this for you. In fact, our class of 2026 nights start in May. So if you're a junior, we have stuff for you to do all the way in May. You can find all of our events right on our event page or in the one-page document that I shared with you. This has events all across the state to support you. And then we have a Padlet for you. Students, did you know if you're in high school, you have a high school and beyond plan? And that high school and beyond plan is a graduation requirement. And it has a financial aid section as of last year or 2 years ago. I put all of the answers to your high school and beyond plan financial aid section in this Padlet for you. Kind of a little bit of a cheat sheet that you get to take with you after you graduate, and it will continue to have information about financial aid, and it's updated every 2 weeks. If you're a teacher or a practitioner who is here listening to this presentation and you want to share information with students, we also have resources. We have created resources. Our whole goal is to ensure that those furthest from educational justice are supported and served. And we have lots of resources to help you do that and to help you with growing capacity. We also have financial aid videos. If you want little bite-sized videos with bouncing heads that talk about the Washington College Grant, multiple languages, we have you covered. These videos are, none of them are over 2 minutes, And so we have lots of options for you to learn more about what's available to you. And then before we jump into questions, I just want to say thank you. I know that it is, we're in the evening hour and you're here learning about financial aid. And I'm just so grateful to have you here to be able to share this information and hopefully to help you as you navigate education after high school. I'm so grateful. And parents who are here who have their own unique role, let us know how we can best support you. We have lots of workshops as well. With that, I'm going to go ahead. I see a lot of questions in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and stop my presentation so I can see everything fully. There we go. And then I can see all of your questions. So I'm going to scroll to the top if you give me 1 second. If you direct messaged me a question, I will respond back to you privately because I want to make sure I'm not disclosing anything that you don't want disclosed. So if you want to ask a question, that you don't want answered in front of the group, just direct message me, Christina Winstead, and I will happily answer you. If you stump me with your question, I'm just as curious as you all. We're going to find out together, and I'm going to get your email address. So we'll start with, resharing the link because they came into the room. Oh, yes, I can do that. Okay, I'm going to put at the bottom, here is the link that has all of the resources. I will keep that document updated all year, so it's good to go for the whole year. Here we go. Is there an age limit to get funding? Kind of like you just have to be, you have to meet the education requirements, so you have to graduate from high school, which kind of gives you a little bit of a age requirement on the bottom end. But like, no, you can, like when I worked at the college, I had a gentleman that was enrolled at 72. Like it's when you want to go to school. So it's about your pathway. Um, How long do you have to live in Washington to qualify for Washington state aid? That is a great question. Washingtonians, so someone who lives in Washington, to be a Washington resident, you need, for financial aid purposes, you need to live in Washington or what they call maintain a domicile in Washington for 12 months for purposes other than college. And you have to be able to maintain that domicile. So some visa statuses will not allow you to maintain a domicile in the United States. But it just means you need to live here for 12 years, or 12 months, sorry, maintain a domicile. And what I love about it is if you survive those 12 months, if you can survive the rain, sometimes sun, maybe snow, you're one of us. Don't use an umbrella anymore. Get a jacket with a hood and get some sweet Washington State funding. Um, let's see here. Is there a way to check how many people applied for a scholarship? Typically, they don't have the number of that have applied, but here's a tip. Here's my little life hack. If somebody is reaching out to you on a consistent basis about applying for a scholarship, a counselor, if it's a financial aid officer specifically, apply for it. Sometimes they can't tell you if there's low application rates for a scholarship, but they can encourage you so much. Here's my example. I didn't have enough funding for my last quarter, a couple quarters of school even, because I switched my major a couple times. It happens, students, don't worry. You will feel like the world has ended, but it's not. And so I went to go pay for tuition and a payment plan, and the financial aid officer said, you should fill out the scholarship application. And I said, I'll just do it tomorrow. And she's like, it's due today, like within an hour, like it's closing. And I said, I'm fine. I'm just going to pay. And she was like, fill it out. And I went, okay. And she got real like a little tough with me. I filled it out and she went, okay, well, it's 4:49. So in 11 minutes, I can award this to you. No one applied for it. And I went, what? And she goes, no one applied. We're covering your tuition this quarter. I wasn't going to apply because in all honesty, I thought, who's going to give me some extra money? And so if someone tells you, if they're like, right, apply for this, please apply for that scholarship. Also, when you're doing scholarships, students, write your essay. But what I'm finding about the essays I'm reading is y'all aren't bragging about yourselves. You're not even humble bragging. I don't get it because you're amazing. But guess who will brag about you? Your family and your friends. Write your essay. Get a large pizza. I'm talking like something with the slices the size of your face. I want you to sit down with a family member or with friends, and I want you to share your essays with each other because they will brag about you and they will add the things that you forgot to put in, and it'll become a more robust essay. I just highly encourage that in the scholarship process. Also, pizza's a good deal. How old do you have to be to qualify your own income rather than your parents' income? So, for financial aid purposes, until the age of 24, and unless you meet unusual or special circumstances, you will need to provide parent information. And what that means is students, if you are in a legal guardianship as defined by the state of Washington, or maybe you're emancipated, or you've been in foster care after the age of 13, even if you were adopted, you're going to be independent for financial aid purposes. Um, there are certain reasons why you'd be considered independent. And I also want to tell you that if getting a parent information, if it puts you in danger, and I say this very seriously, your safety comes first and foremost before anything. There's a box you can check on the application that says it's not safe for you to access information from your parents. Please use that box. I say that because people can be confused about what the federal government's asking for and what it means. So I had a student who thought the federal government asking for information from a parent superseded a local protection order. And that student put themselves in danger and it broke my heart. They're okay. But I never want to see a student in danger. If it's not a good situation, if your household's abusive, you will check that box and the financial aid office will talk to you and it'll be a confidential conversation to see if you can be independent for financial aid purposes. Um, okay. Does a student need to go full time to qualify? That's a great question. No, you can go part time. You go the speed that you need to go to be successful. So if that means taking one class a quarter, it means one class a quarter. It's what's best for you. We get confused because I think, we call them 2-year colleges and 4-year colleges and things like that. But the reality is most students don't graduate in 4 years. It's a little bit longer. And so people take the time they need depending on what's going on in their life. And that way they can be successful and still go to school. You just have to make sure you're going at least half time. Okay, so what's the income limit year for you to apply for all years attending? So they assess your financial aid every year. So it's a snapshot when you fill out the application. And then they'll determine based upon, so there's no like, oh, this amount will get you like this much at this school. Really, there's a calculator that they have to look at your assets and they calculate what's called a student aid index and they use that to determine how much you're getting. So it really changes from school to school because the cost of attendance changes. So you might get, like less at one school. It really depends. And so that's why you want to apply for financial aid. You can use the calculator to see Washington aid, and there's a financial aid estimator from the FASFA to get an idea of what you might be receiving. But it does come down to that cost of attendance. So every year you apply, this is the best way to think about it, students. Okay. When it gets pumpkin spice and everything nice out there, it's time to think about financial aid. And I'm not talking about false pumpkin spice season like that we get in August and we're like, what's going on here? I'm talking about the level of pumpkin spice that's out there that you are concerned about the combos when you're like, I don't think I want to eat a pumpkin spice steak, but it's here. Once it gets like that, you want to think about applying for financial aid because you've hit October 1st every year. Best month of the year. It starts with a financial aid application opening and you applying for aid. And on the last day of that month, you can say 3 magical words and get free candy. If you are eating freely obtained candy from Halloween and you haven't applied for aid yet, take those fun-sized bars for a full-size task and get your application in. Single income. Okay, wondering about single income households, one parent, one child. So they're going to look at the household size. If the parents are married, if they're going to look at both parents' income. If the parents are divorced for financially and the student's under 24, they're going to look at the income of the parent that provides the most financial support. And if that parent is remarried, they're also going to want the information on the step parent. If you're divorced or separated but still living together, they want both the income from the family. If your parent is widowed, then it'll just be the surviving parent. And we have a little chart that walks you through. It tells you which parent to choose. And so that is also in our resources. Um, So they for the tuition rate says here, if under 78,000 annual income for a family of four, they can receive a tuition up to University of Washington, so the public rate. And can it cover private colleges? It will max out at the private colleges, and there's going to be a difference between public and private tuition. And so some schools have scholarships for that for college-bound students, but if they're going to a private school, there's a larger cost. And so typically, either it's going to be used by like you're going to try to use up all your aid first before you take out any loans for that private college. Is there a separate application for the WA grant? Nope. You're just going to do the FASFA or the WAFSA. Again, one or the other, but never both. And that will consider you for federal and state aid or just that beautiful state aid that we have. Y'all have amazing questions. I love this. Scholarships are separate applications, correct? Is there anything else mentioned from here about a separate from FAFSA, WASFA? So the scholarship applications are separate. The other thing that you might see as a separate application is something called the CSS profile. It is an additional application for financial aid required by some colleges. It's only required by one college in Washington, and that is Whitman. But there's other colleges in the US that use it. It's just a more in-depth profile of your family's ability to pay. And it does cost, if your family makes over 100,000 a year, it's $25 to do that and then $16 for reports. It's the only time you have to pay for an application that's a separate one. It's confusing to figure out which one you should fill out. I know it's hard. You don't, especially if you don't know if you qualify for federal funding or not. I totally get it. I would use the eligibility questionnaire that we shared. That seems to be the best tool for helping with eligibility. And I can try to put it in the chat real quickly for you because other people had that question. I'll have to find it in a second. Scholarships are separate. Yes, so scholarships are separate. How early do you apply for financial aid, junior or senior year? So senior year, but juniors, you can start doing things like creating your FSA ID or WAFS account as early as we have events in May to help you. So juniors, you still have stuff to do. Look and see what scholarships are available. Start narrowing it down to 20 schools. And then senior year, you apply. Now, if you're out of high school and you haven't been in high school a long time, it's October of every year, you will be applying for financial aid. And you apply for the upcoming. So like students who are seniors right now are applying for next year's funding. Now, if you're like a student who's like, I'm going to start school right now, there's a possibility you might be doing two financial aid applications. You'll be doing 2 different years though. So you'll do this current year and next year. Yes, the slide deck is on the one pager that I shared out. And if you if you can't get into the Google Doc or something, please just reach out to me. I'm happy to try to send it an email or something else. I know that not everyone has access to Google Docs. Okay, let's see here. I'm trying to find, oh my gosh, so many good questions. We do have a website. All of this is available on our website. We have it right here. I'm just going to put it back in the chat. Okay, I'm trying to find where I left off at. Okay, these are direct. Hold on. If you have questions that you don't want to ask in front of the group, I totally understand. I want to respect your privacy. Please send me a direct message and I'll make sure that you have my contact information and we'll make sure that we can connect, especially if it's something like that. Just let me know. I'm going to send you my email address. Okay. Oh, if someone has college bound, so let's say they're automatically enrolled in college bound because they were income eligible, and between middle school and graduating high school, the income has changed and the family makes more money now and is no longer eligible for college bound. They still might be eligible for WA grant though. So might be bumped out of the eligibility. You might be no longer eligible for that income level for college bound. But I encourage you to use the Washington State calculator because you still might get a very robust Washington college grant. Does college bound expire? Not anymore. Thank goodness to legislation. So you have it waiting for you. You just have to use it up. So, but it's waiting for you. It used to expire after 5 years, but not anymore. I'm so glad about that because it means that if life happens, you have support. Um, oh, work study. So someone says, can you talk more about work study? Work study is where you're working on campus. You don't have to be like me, I'm like nerd, and work in the financial aid department. If you do and you love it, you have a support group. But there's other jobs you can do on campus. There's jobs in student life. The library usually has positions, the gym, like the fitness center. For example, one of my students, when I worked at the college, wanted to be an event planner, and they were a work study for student life. When we found out that that's what their goal was, we were able to take their job and adapt it so that they learned a lot more on the job. So this student, instead of just having like a job where they didn't have that connection to their world of work. They were like learning in class about contracts, but then they were also helping us doing the contracts for catering and doing release forms. And that student even learned what we do in Olympia when it snows 3 inches and we have to close down and we have 500 burritos for an event and a clause that says that we have to pay for them. She learned all of that. So that work study experience gave her the ability to learn stuff that she was relevant to what she wanted to go into. For me, work study was the first time that my employer knew I was a student first and foremost. They supported me. They didn't ask me that I could come in when I was supposed to be in school. Um, and I loved it. It was just a wonderful environment. And but if you had told me I was going to do the work study program when I was in high school, I'd have been like, no, that sounds gross. And most students are like, no, thank you. So I encourage you, please look at all the jobs on campus. Students, if you get work study, you have to opt into it. You have to tell them you want to do it. You have to apply for those jobs. If you're worried about like clothing and things like that, don't worry. They have clothing closets at a lot of the colleges where they will help you with interview clothes and they'll help you with the interview process. So don't be scared, but you will interview for those jobs. Um, if the parents are separated but don't live together, then it's going to be the parent that provides the most financial support to the student. If both parents provide the same financial support, the next criteria the federal government has is who has the most income slash assets. And you as a family get to determine who the person is that you're picking. We don't know your circumstances. Um, let's see here. Oh, if one of the children's in the military, do they still consider part of the family? It depends on if you're providing support to them. And so it just depends on for the family size. They're not going off of who you claim on your taxes. They're really going off of they'll ask like the criteria of, are you providing this much support? Can WAFSA be used for online schools like NAU? It has to be used in Washington State schools. So if that Washington State school, like if that online school or school like that is originated from Washington, there's a possibility, but it has to be used within Washington. Um, oh, if you don't have so I've got a couple questions about cell phones and emails. Um, yes, parents will need an email for creating an FSA ID. You can always, if you have a Gmail account, you can always do a plus and then a word like plus financial aid or plus something, and it will give you a bonus account. So if your parents don't have one and don't want to navigate an email account, you can do that as well. Um, if you don't have a cell phone, no worries. You can still get email from Otter as well. Um, no worries at all. So you'll just get the messages through email. Make sure you use an email address that you're not going to lose though. Um, Dual credit pro. Can you touch on dual credit? Yes, I love dual credit. Dual credit is an opportunity for high school students to obtain college and high school at the same time, and they can do it through a couple different programs. You have CTE dual credit, which is going to be technical programs where the students in the high school are doing such amazing work that they are actually doing college level work while at the high school. And they have articulations that they can get college credit at the same time. It's amazing. Sometimes the students don't even know that they're doing that level work. It's great. Then we have Running Start, which is where students go to campus or go online to school, either part-time or full-time, their junior or senior year. And then you also have International Baccalaureate. There's other programs too where students can obtain college credits while going to high school or be able to take tests to show proficiency that will equate to credits. I encourage students, if they are participating in dual credit, to write down where their credits are coming from because they will need to obtain those transcripts. So students, if you're in, first of all, if you're doing any dual credit, congratulations. That's amazing. That's a lot. You're going above and beyond. Make sure that you get your transcripts from all your schools because you want to get credit for those. They need to be official sealed transcripts. Um, let me see. Okay, website. Yes, so that's it. Is the opportunity grant included in the FAFSA as well? No, the opportunity grant is also, you'll be assessed for all of those amazing Washington State funding programs just through the one application. Um, do parents have to pay for the submission of dual credits to colleges? There are some programs that do cost money. If anything is financially prohibitive, I would encourage you still to reach out to see if there's waivers. Oh, and then thank you for putting the slides in there. Um, How soon after high school do college-bound eligible students need to enroll in college? They need to enroll the fall after they graduate. So they have 1 year. So like not the fall after, but the following fall. So it's like almost 15 months that they have. But basically they have a year from graduation to enroll. So we want to make sure that that means, again, they can take a gap year, but they want to have a plan so it doesn't turn to a gap decade. Also, students, if you're doing a gap year, I would still apply for financial aid because if you don't like I've had students who are like, I did not like what's going on with this gap year, whether it be employment or other things, and they wanted to switch to college really quick, and having that application in, it was really helpful. Okay, OtterBot. How do we get connected to OtterBot? I'm going to put the link in the chat, and then you can go ahead and sign up right through here. Okay. And sorry, 1 second. I'm trying to, there we go. Okay, so if your student is adopted, it says what application should I use so adoption is really, if as long as you're adopted after the age of 13, it's just going to be your own information. You'll do the same application. They don't want your adoptive parents' information unless you were adopted before the age of 13. Um, and I have a couple here that are going to be direct messages, so I'm not going to answer those yet because I don't want to disclose anything. So the OtterBot's there for high schools after and for the summer after. That's what we have funding for right now. There's other supports beyond OtterBot at the colleges. A lot of them have their own text messaging system that students are able to access. I heard that participating and running a start affects getting financial aid. Is this true? So what it is it depends on if the student's changing programs. There can be times when if a student takes a class in college, let's say they take Chem 101. If they take Chem 101 through Running Start, and they want to retake it, financially it's not going to pay for a class that's already been taken successfully. And so I've had students who are trying to increase their GPA for competitive programs who've had to pay out of pocket. They weren't able to get aid for those. I always encourage students, like if they to talk to their financial aid department to see the funding and how it can basically how it can best support them. Can college bound? Yes, college bound students can get full tuition at the public highest rate. So for 4 years, which means if they're going to UW, that's the highest public rate is our research-based schools, UW and Wazoo, that's the rate that they would get. If they go to a school that's cheaper, it's going to be a little bit less. It just depends on the school they're going to. But yeah, it'd be for 4 years for college bound. Isn't that amazing? Um, the colleges are using their own bots and they have usually it's a mascot name. So like it'll be like, oh, and that's they'll have it'll be in the corner of their website on the bottom right hand corner. And it'll be like talk to, and then it'll have like Penny, the hen from I can't remember which university right now. And I know some of y'all are having to head out. If you direct messaged me, I'm happy to stay on as long as I need to get all your answers back to you in the format that you wanted. but I want to make sure if there's any other questions that came through. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to message me. I know as we're coming up to the 7 o'clock hour, let me look and see. I think I've gotten all the answers for the ones that were publicly posted. If you do have more questions, or if you're like, whew, that was a lot of financial aid, Christina, no worries. I have a session on the 11th that we are doing where we will help you create your FSAID or WAFSA account. Um, and then we have other events that are coming up to help you too. So we'll have completion events. And in the spring, if you did your application and maybe you have an error, um, like maybe you're having issues with your application. We're going to have events that will help they'll help you like navigate the errors. Are there any events coming in Western Washington? Yes. Bellingham? Yeah. Futures Northwest. I will put the link in the chat for you. They're the
Christina,
best. Mhm.
someone is asking a question as it relates to a GED. They're wanting to know if a GED counts as graduation in terms of applying for this aid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Your GED counts as well. Of course. It's not easy to do the test. I'm like, man, we just want to make sure. The thing is, like, a lot of the students won't get the financial aid information after they finish their exams because they don't know who's finishing exams. And so sometimes those who are doing their GE don't get as much of this information. So I want to make sure everyone deserves the right to know what's available to them. This is why, like, I'm going to ask you to tell a friend about financial aid because I want to make sure everybody knows so that no one's delaying their opportunity because they think it's not achievable. Um, if someone has a bachelor's degree, qualifies financially, can they qualify for funds for other schooling, such as a certification program? Bachelor's is the highest they'll max out. And so once you have your bachelor's, it's hard to get other types of funding. Um, and so it's really kind of, it depends on the situation. But scholarships is where you're going to, if you want to do a certification program, especially if you already got a bachelor's, especially for over like, I think it's 26, there are scholarships for returning adults too. And then for the FAFSA, just to let you know, students are going to fill out their own portion and parents are going to fill out their own portion. And so they have their own individual portions for the same application. Students going to be applying for aid, parents going to be providing information. So you'll fill out your own portions and then they come together. That's exciting. You know what? That's when my mom went back to school. That's the same thing. It's the best. We studied together. Um, Yes, so the link to the events in Bellingham is the Futures Northwest. Let me put it back up here again to everybody. Futures Northwest, if you're in the Bellingham area, has workshops at all the schools. Oh, thank you so much. Um, yes, Joel, I'm reading your message right now. Stay on for a couple minutes, and that way I'm gonna see what options there are. Okay, I know we've hit our 7 o'clock hour, which I think was when we were supposed to finish our Zoom. I am happy to stay on and answer questions for those of you, especially the direct questions, but I also don't want to I want to, make sure I respect your time. Thank you so much for being here. If you get stuck at all, please reach out. I am so grateful that we live in a state where college is affordable and even free at times. It's one of the best things about the state. Um, the lister for futures events we have let me give you the link. So the events page is here, and we'll be putting all of our events on the same page as well. Just thank you so much. And then I think there's been some contact requests for other people here, so I'll try to get that contact information as well. Can you use Washington College Grant to pay for college dorm? Yeah, your dorms. Yeah, it's part of your cost of attendance. So federal and state aid could be used to cover dorms. Oh, thank you so much. I just want to make sure, like, I want to make sure that we can support you as you navigate these next steps. It's my favorite thing to do. Thank you so much for taking time this evening to learn more about my favorite topic. We're so excited for your future students. Just let us know what we can do to help you. Thank you. And then for those who sent me direct messages, I will be answering those real quickly here. So just take me a couple minutes. Someone asked about, oh, the running start piece. So running start and financial aid, it can impact your financial aid depending on if you change your programs and other things. I would always encourage students, like, it's an amazing program. Uh, if that's a concern that they have, if they're maybe changing a major or something like that, they always want, anytime you're changing a major, you want to talk to your financial aid department. Oh, thank you. You guys are all so sweet. Um, Oh my gosh, y'all are amazing. Thank you so much. You're making me blush here. Thank you so much. If there's anything we can do to help you, I'm going to be on here for another probably 10 minutes just answering these questions. I'm so sorry for the other people. I know that there's other people here that are, um, but I hope that's okay. If I'm going to put really quickly, if you still have a question, just hang out and then I'm going to answer them. It's just going to take me a couple minutes. And if I have a look on my face while I'm typing, I sometimes have a concentration look that looks grumpy. It's not. Um, okay. Yes, I'm gonna.
Okay, so now you're just doing all the direct messaging.
Yes, now I'm just gonna direct message. So anybody who doesn't have a direct message to me, you're free to go. Thank you so much for being here. And then if you have a direct message to me that you want a response back, just feel free to wait for a second. Or if you didn't get something else like that you need, just ping me or wait for a second, and I'm happy to get to you.
Okay,
Oh,
thank you
thank you
so
for
much.
I'm glad I can make financial aid fun. That's like literally my goal. That's like the best comment I could get. I'm like that makes the whole night. Um, yeah, so college bound, I've had a couple questions here about the college bound program. So college bound students are automatically enrolled if they're eligible for free or reduced price lunch. So if in middle school you sign up for free or reduced price lunch, so seventh or eighth grade, then you're automatically enrolled. Like we get your information through a data sharing agreement and you're in the program. If you're at a school that has 100% free or reduced price lunch and you are not eligible for free or reduced price lunch, you won't be eligible for the program because it has to be about eligibility. Okay, okay. And I'm sending some links to y'all too.
Okay, we can stop the recording and realistically speaking, our ASL interpreters, thank you so
Yeah.
much. We're done.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate. I know it's so much information.